Once I found this out, I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Tahj Stewart, founder and CEO of Obsessed with Success.
From his start in music, Tahj has become a force in the credit and business funding space and has made it his mission to help others gain their financial freedom.
So when you say 0% interest, what do you exactly mean by that?
You can go ahead and invest in your business that you already have, and the utilization does not report to the personal side. It's going to the business side. So you leverage your personal credit, but it's not reporting to your personal credit. You leverage the bank's money to go and get this 0% interest, right, that you took and you flipped the money, you made the money back and you paid it all off and you didn't pay any interest. TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian are just businesses. They're literally just, they just collect data. A lot of people, they think once they're in the hole with certain things, like something went to collections or this and that happened, then they kind of give up. There's actual laws and codes that's set in place for people to be able to get all that negative stuff off their credit report. You can go get 4 personal cards with 1 inquiry.
It only counts as one?
1 inquiry. So it'll literally ding you 1 inquiry, but then you just got 4 cards.
How hard is it for somebody to hit like an 850?
Oh, 850, that's not really too hard, to be honest. Like the biggest thing that I noticed with my personal credit.
So Tahj, you here, you in the building. You look like you got boxer money, man. What's going on?
I don't know about boxer money, you know what I'm saying? That's a lot. I'm getting there, you feel me? But yeah, so my name is Tahj Stewart. What I do is I have the #1 credit repair company and business funding company in the country, right? And also I teach people how to leverage their personal credit profiles and able to go and get 0% interest business credit cards. So, that's been really what's been helping me run my bag up and helping me help other people run a lot of people's bags up too.
So when you say 0% interest, that's a we like the word zero. What do you exactly mean by that?
So basically, like these business credit cards, they're coming in at 0% interest for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, and they're completely separate from the personal credit cards, right? Because one thing that got me, first off, let me just start by saying, like, I got into the credit industry just realizing that there's a large amount of people who are very confused on how credit even works, right? And a lot of people, they'll start to understand how credit works personally a little bit, but then they don't know nothing about business credit still, right? So then, that's when I have to explain to people, like, there's 2 different scores. There's a FICO score and then there's a paydex score. And these are 2 completely different things, right? So as far as the business credit cards, these business credit cards that we're getting, we're leveraging the personal credit profile. So you take the personal credit profile, it's basically like a cosigner. And then we're getting business credit. So your personal credit is co-signing for your business. Then we go and get this business credit. Let's say Chase, they're giving out, 0% interest credit cards for 12 months. So basically you can go ahead and invest in your business that you already have, start a new business, whatever your plan is, right, to do with this money, and you can invest in it, and the utilization does not report to the personal side. It's going to the business side, right? So you leverage your personal credit, but it's not reporting to your personal credit.
Got it.
Right. So, and this is dope because now, if you got to have a plan, and you got to be like a true entrepreneur, a true hustler in a sense, right? You got to know how to flip the money. You got to get the bag, flip the bag, right? That's the #1 thing, or else it could look real ugly in a year.
I feel that, yeah.
So, but as long as you do that, you just leveraged other people's money. You leveraged the bank's money to go and get this 0% interest, right, that you took and you flipped the money, you made the money back and you paid it all off and you didn't pay any interest. You still have to pay a minimum, like a minimum monthly payment on the balance, but it's not an interest based. You know what I'm saying?
Got you. So you mentioned earlier paydex and something else.
The FICO score. Yeah.
So explain that difference to people real quick.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So the FICO score, that is your personal credit score, right? That is the score. It ranges from 300 to 850. And that's the score that the 3 main bureaus is TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. These is the ones that's really like, and these are also, they're not real Like they're just businesses,
Mm.
right? TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian are just businesses. Everybody thinks they're like these big government things that's like something they can't go against. And no, they're
So
just
wait, they're not part of the government.
they're not part of the government at all. They're literally just they just collect data. That's all they do. They collect information and they collect data. That's it. So as they're collecting this data, that's how, you know, in all these lenders, these banks and stuff, they're tied in with them. They're partnered with them, right? So that's when the banks are going to loan you money or they're pulling your credit to see if you're worthy. They're just checking in with these data collection agencies to see like, what do they have? You know, you got bankruptcies. Do you got already, you know, how's it looking? How's your credit looking, right? So that's all tied in with your FICO score. That's what makes up of your FICO score is what those data collection agencies are reporting, the information that they're collecting as far as like, so the FICO score, what makes up of the FICO score, right, is there's a payment history, there's credit utilization, there's your credit mix, which means, so basically payment history, you just got to be on time all the time. You can't be late, right? As soon as you do that, it's like it dings your credit bad. And there's several ways to get rid of late payments, especially if you only have one or two. You literally could just call the creditor and literally just, it's something called a forgiveness, right? And you just ask for forgiveness. You literally ask them, hey, listen, you know, I messed up a couple times. I had this and that going on. You know, my little cousin had some stuff going on, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, say what you gotta say. And then like 9 times out of 10, they'll literally just remove that late
Does it
payment.
matter how old that is?
Nah, it doesn't matter if it was one time or even twice, but if you're getting towards more than that, that's when it gets sticky. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if it's like 1 or 2 times, you can literally call them up and they'll forgive you, especially if you were like, especially if it was older, really, because, you know, if you were good on time and then you made one late payment, but then every other time after that, you're doing good again, then that even solves your case right there. Cause it's like, look, I had a little hiccup, you know? So then the credit utilization, everybody says like 30%. You want to keep your cards under 30%. You want to pay your cards off twice a month. You want to do this, but that's not really a thing, right? The number one thing, I know it's way harder said, it's way easier said than done, but the number one thing is just like paying your card off every single month before the statement closing date. And as long as you could do that, then your credit utilization is going to be reporting every month at 0, which is great because that's how you're going to get the max points on the credit utilization side, right? But you know, I know times are hard and stuff like that, so people can't, you know, always do that. So if you're carrying a balance on the credit card, you're going to have a minimum monthly balance that's due on the due date the next month. So you want to pay that, you know, you want to at least pay your minimum monthly payment by the due date, but then you always have to make sure you pay attention to the statement closing date, because that's the number one date that really matters when it comes to credit. Because so you'll have your due date will be one day, let's say it's the 10th, right? But then your statement might close on the 14th. So a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, I owe $50 on the 10th. So they'll pay the $50 on by the 10th, the 9th or something, right? Yeah. Then on the 11th, they'll go spend $200. Like, all right, cool. I just paid I made it, right? I made the due date, but they're not knowing that 3 days later when the statement closes, that's really what's reporting to the bureau. So that's what's dinging their utilization, right? That's what's messing it up. So the biggest thing is to make sure you are making the monthly payments, right, on your due date, but you got to get it down as low as possible, as humanly possible, by that statement closing date. And most people can find those dates like right on their statement and their bank apps and stuff like that. So then you got a credit mix, you know, so the credit mix, that's like if you got a good selection of different types of credit, like you got an auto loan or something, you got, you know, a personal loan, you got a secured loan, you got a credit card, you got whatever, right? If you got a nice mix and you're taking care of everything, that helps boost your credit too. You don't want a lot of inquiries, obviously. And that's another thing is like, I actually have different ways that I remove inquiries and stuff like that through my credit repair company, obviously. So I mean, and so yeah, inquiries, credit mix, payment history, utilization, and those is in a new credit. You don't want to just get a bunch of new stuff all the time, right? You don't want to go crazy on that. You don't want a lot of collections, but there's ways to get all that removed, you know. And that's another big thing that a lot of people, they think once they're in the hole with certain things, like something went to collections or this and that happened, then they kind of give up because they don't really have that knowledge and the information on what you can do. But really, it's very important to understand that there's actual laws and codes that's set in place for people to be able to get all that negative stuff off their credit report, every single thing. So that's what I like to do for my clients. And that's also just what I like to teach people,
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's
So, and then the paydex, so that's the FICO. So that's just the personal profile, right? So on the paydex side, that's a whole completely different savage, right? So the paydex score, that's on the business side, right? So I always say, you got personal credit, you got business credit, then you got corporate credit. That's what I call it, right? Because the business credit, you don't really need a paydex score and able to go get a business credit card. But the corporate credit, that's where you're building that paydex score, and that's building up your whole score on that other side. So when able to go and get start building your paydex score, it's simple. You just go to dunnandbradstreet.com and get a DUNS number. Because obviously when you create a business, you have an LLC and you have an EIN from the IRS. So, but you also need to go and get the DUNS number, right, from dunnandbradstreet.com. And once you get that, then you're able to go and get different accounts, like net 30 accounts, where you basically, once you get approved, you go do the business with them, like Granger, Uline, Quill, all these different, like there's you can go to nav.com and look up like all the different net 30 accounts you can get, right? And plus a lot of places actually have net 30 accounts, like gas stations, and you just gotta talk to them, right?
Now that you bring that point up, there's been some speculation. I've heard of that,
Right.
because we've had some other credit people on here as well, but they're like the NAVs and the U lines and all that stuff. They said you can't expect to pay $40-$50 a month and get $100K in credit. That's not how it works. And that's what people think.
No, definitely not. No, it's definitely way deeper than that, right? And that's why I say it's a difference between the corporate credit and the business credit, right? Because you don't even need a paydex score to go and get $100,000 in business credit. You just need a good personal credit profile, right? So on the personal side, like I said before, your personal side, that actually that's co-signing for your business to go get the business credit. So as long as your payment history is at 100, your 100%, your utilization is 10% or less, you got like about really like you could have like 3 inquiries, but it's better to have like 3 like 2 or less, right? You don't got no collections, no derogatories and stuff like that. And as long as your profile is looking like real good, and it's always good to have at least one card that has like a decent limit, at least one card that has like $5,000 on that, right? And there's plenty of ways to even do that, to get those higher limit cards. So like authorized user, but that's kind of that's still like they could see that. They could see it's not yours. Gotcha. So what I do with my clients that's like, let's say they're building from the ground up, right? I have them sign up to something called the ACC, the American Consumer Council. So they go to the ACC and then they'll literally join with the ACC. They use the code word consumer. And that's how they could waive the $15 fee, get in for free, right? And then I have them go get up with Andrews Federal Credit Union, Air Force Credit Union, a bunch of different of these other credit unions to where they could get secured loans, right? So if they already got their hands on some type of money, then all they have to do is put money inside of their savings account once they get into these credit unions, right? And then basically just get a loan on the money. Basically, that's there, right? You put, let's say you got $10,000, right? Okay, cool. You put the $10,000 in the account. You call them up, say, hey, I want to get a secured loan. They'll give you the secured loan for $10,000. So what they do is they freeze the money up and then they give it to you in a loan form. Yeah. And then from there, they'll just pay it off 90%. So let's say they just take $9,000 of that loan money, pay it off. But then really the money still comes right back because it gets unfrozen. Yeah. But the good thing is that when they do that, they're not only establishing a relationship with the bank, they're also able to now get in a better position on top of a bunch of other things. Like there's Kickoff, Credit Strong, Kovo, Rent Reporters, Rental Karma, a bunch of different credit builder accounts too. And then plus the trade lines as well. So if you're doing like the secured loan, you do a couple of those with a couple lenders, you get those credit builder accounts, which I like Rent Reporters and Rental Karma if people been renting for a couple of years, because it'll add a new account, but it backdates it on the age, so it's not like it's not dinging your credit age. That's another one I forgot too earlier. Your credit age.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That makes up your FICO score too. You want a lengthy time. You want like 6-7 years for real, like at minimum, and you're in good shape, real good shape, right? So yeah, that's a good thing, right? So when let's say they put 10,000 into that account or whatever, they went and got the loan. Now when they apply for a credit card, they got a 90% paid off $10,000 loan. They're gonna probably give them a $10,000 card.
Gotcha.
Right. So now they just cracked that open. Now they like, all right, cool. Now they, instead of taking a long route, getting secured credit cards and, doing this and doing that. And then you got, just that's what I've seen so far is like gets the quickest results on building it up the fastest. Then really you just let it cook up for like, I'd say like 4 months minimum. But like, if you really want to let it cook up 6 months or a year, but then you could actually start going and getting the business credit, with a good stacked up profile like that. You get the trade lines on there, you get some authorized users that got the age, the authorized trade lines are, so you might buy authorized trade line, a Chase card, $20,000, 20 years. That's going to help your age. That's going to help everything. Like I said, they still see that it's somebody else's, but they like it because they're like, you look trustworthy for somebody to even put you on their stuff. That's how they're looking, right? So yeah, I mean, and then once they do that, then when they go and leverage their personal credit profile to get the business credit, these lenders on the business side are more, they're more susceptible to matching you on a limit you already got. So if you got 10,000, it'd be like, well, I mean, we're at least going to give you 10,000, right? But the key is to go, when you're doing the business credit, you do it through certain reps, get tied in with reps who are actually like pushing the apps through and helping you get like max funding, right? So, yeah.
And so a question that makes me think about is when it comes to funding, what kind of entity is the best? And I'm talking about, LLC, corporation, S Corp, C Corp, foundation,
right?
All of that type of stuff. What would you choose to maximize the amount of money you can get in funding?
Yeah, I mean, in all actuality, I've been working with a lot of LLCs and stuff like that. But there's something called getting an aged shelf corp, which basically is just an LLC, right? But it's aged. So people sell their businesses, right? They sell their business profiles that they've already built up and juiced up. It might be 10 years old, 15, 20 years old, and it already has like a pay that score. It already has everything set up. They'll just sell their business to you. You buy it, right? So now it's new to you, but it's old in the system. Yeah. So, you get your hands on that age shelf corp. It's an LLC essentially, right? But so now it has the age on it. So now not only can you go and get the 0% interest credit cards, but you could also get lines of credit as well and loans, right? So you could double up. Like some lenders, they're giving out, like Chase, for instance, you could literally go to Chase at one inquiry and get a line of credit and a credit card, right? One inquiry. You know what I'm saying?
But you still have to have good personal credit.
Still got to have good personal credit. Okay. Like at the end of the day, it's always going to boil down to that. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like the personal credit has to be on point. Yeah.
Gotcha.
100%.
Okay. And did you see yourself always getting into credit?
Nah. Honestly, like I didn't have no type of financial literacy background. Like, like my mom, she worked a job to get money and stuff like that. My pops, he didn't do nothing like that. He didn't really work like that. Nobody had like a credit. Nobody was big on like ownership. Nobody taught me nothing when it comes down to it. So I never really saw myself getting into it. And honestly, I would hear people all the time talk about credit this, credit that, or the rich are using credit to leverage of credit to get even richer. And, and I would see it, but I still I wasn't surrounded by enough people who were actually privy to the information, to where I could get acclimated into it and actually start taking it serious. So once I did, start to get into the credit world, it was just seeing certain things online and tapping in, and then I started diving into the rabbit holes, right?
And when was that?
I started really like January last year.
Okay.
That's when I just like even got like hip to it. And then basically I like really got into it about like 6-7 months ago. You know,
Got you.
Yeah.
So life can change that much in
Real,
that amount of time.
Yeah, real fast,
Wow.
bro. And like I started caring about my credit a little bit, like I'd say like 3-4 years ago. That's when I paid a credit repair company to help get my credit cleaned up, because I was in the 400s.
Gotcha.
Like 30,000 in debt. You know, I had a repo on my stuff and like a bunch of other stuff, right? So I was like, man, let me get this cleaned up. I got it cleaned up, and then I took the long route to like build my credit up. I went and got the secure card and did all this and paid it off and did the 30% thing and
So
everything I was hearing. Right, you know. So, but then once I got, you know, into this game and into this business, I realized that, oh, there's way quicker ways to build a credit profile. You know, it don't take, I mean, if you want to take the long route, it's a year tops, right? So yeah, once I started to get acclimated to the information, I dove all the way in. And then that's when I dove into a mentorship that was more based on credit repair, funding, and real estate. So that's when I got into it 100%. And yeah, I've been, you know, I learned what I learned. So basically, I already had some credit on a personal side, right? I had a personal credit card. The mentorship was $15,000 to get into it. I leveraged some of the personal credit that I had, right? Got into the mentorship. From the information that I learned inside the mentorship, I went and got $170,000 in credit, right? So I really just flipped that $15,000 on the personal, got 170 mixed between business and personal. And then on top of that, I also was able to start my credit repair company and my business funding company, where I started to run it up, getting tons of clients, all type of money. And then I actually got a property too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, out in Philly. So
that's where you from?
No, I'm actually from Wisconsin. I'm from the Midwest. Yeah.
Okay, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's a first.
Yeah. I'm from Wisconsin. Midwest. So yeah, but my property's in Philly because it was actually gifted to me from one of my mentors.
Got it.
So the beauty, that's when I realized the beauty in this whole space is I was just like, this is crazy how you start to learn information and then you really start to switch everything up. You get this information and start implementing it, and then literally like everything could take a full turn. So now, even like with the house situation, I'm putting about like 70,000-80,000 into the house that was gifted to me. The after repair value is 165. So that's, I mean, it's all just money. I literally leveraged 15,000 from a personal credit card, and I turned it into all like literally just an endless amount of money now because I got the information and I'm using it. So yeah.
And so I don't know if it relates to it, but I've heard celebrities get something like a black card. How do you get a black card?
Yeah. I mean, a black card really is like, that's when, honestly, it's like there's all type of different cards. So whole time, like, it's just another card, right? It's literally another card. Like, there's so many different cards that you could get. Like, you get a lot of people get the American Express, like the platinums, the golds, the plums, and all that stuff. Like, at the end of the day, it's just another card, right? True. And the black card is when you start running up your credit, like even more to where now they're like, all right, cool, you're good for this amount of money, right? I'm not even sure what the amount is, but I know it's like, yeah, once they'll be like, but you got to run it up first. You got to have that. You got to run up your personal credit like A1. So a cool one that I really like though, like a cool play that I really, really liked is the American Express play, right? Where once I found this out, I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like where you could go get 4 personal cards with 1 inquiry, right? So you go get 4 personal cards with 1 inquiry. So, you know, all you have to do is just pull up the American Express website, pull up 1 card, right? On the Safari, you know, and then you do it on Chrome, on another, you know, get another card with Chrome, get another card with Firefox, get another card. And then you fill out the applications 90%. All the way up until you get to the submit the application button, right? And then you go ahead and hit submit on every single one.
Oh damn.
Yeah, so and then whole time, the reason why you could do it on the business side too, but the reason why I say personal too is because personal has a pre-approval, so it'll do it without even running the inquiry anyways, and you'll know if you're even getting approved. So then it'll say, all right, you've been approved. So every single one will say you've been approved. Now you gotta click the accept. So when you click the accept, now you click the accept. You know,
all of them,
and for all of them at the same
time,
time,
only counts as one
inquiry. So it'll literally ding you one inquiry, but you just got 4 cards. You know, you just got 4 credit cards. Boom, and then you know, a couple of them, like the ones I got, you know, came in like no preset spending limit, which is cool. But like I'm not big on those because they come with a good like hefty annual fee, and then also. You just don't like, you don't like, I like to know like, all right, I got 20K over here.
Yeah.
You know, you might check it. It'll be like, you got 15 one day. And the next day they're like, you got 12. And it's like, where the other 3 go? You know what I'm saying? So, but no, that's a good play, especially when you're looking to like run it up and build a profile out too. You know what I'm saying? So.
Got you. How hard is it for somebody to hit like an 850?
Oh, 850. That's not really too hard, to be honest. Like the biggest thing that I noticed with my personal credit. Yeah, there we go, baby. He got the limits, you know what I'm saying?
Listen, digital billionaire.
Yeah, let's go. That's what's up, man. Hey, congratulations too. I like that. So yeah, the biggest thing. What was the question? You just I was like, black card, baby. You know what I'm saying?
I said, how hard is it to hit an 850?
Oh, okay, 850. Yeah, that's not that hard. Honestly, like in my personal situation, but what got me to the 800s was really that utilization thing. That's what did it. Like soon as I started paying off all my cards, shot up 810, 812. I still ain't hit 850 yet. You know what I'm saying? But just that's how really I shot up like that. It was the utilization. That's when I realized I'm like, okay, because I didn't have nothing else because I got the credit repair already years ago. So once I got them cards on there and stuff like that, and then another thing is just like it's almost impossible to get to an 850 if you have like a new account. If you got a new account, it's like it's over with. You know, it literally has to season. That joint has to get to at least a couple years, depending
make
on
it to the cookout.
Right, exactly. You know, depending on how many. If you got like 20 things that are all 20 years old and you get a new account, okay, like you might only gotta wait like a year or something, you know, with the new account. But if you got more newer stuff, yeah, everything got a season. So that's really it, to be honest, to get to that 850. Just pay them cards off 100%, make sure you're not missing payments, and then make sure you got a decent, like a good, nice, solid profile that has like 10, 12, 15 accounts at least. And just make sure if they're all older, all right, that's how you gonna get it. Yeah.
So what's the main difference between like Credit Karma and Experian? Like why are those numbers exactly different? Like I know Experian has the FICO, but like how come people actually look at the number on Credit Karma and think it's something good when it's not?
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing is, like, Credit Karma shows something called a Vantage score. So that's not the score. That's still a score. It's a real score. It's a Vantage score, but that's not the score that the most lenders are looking at. I have bumped into a couple lenders. They told me, like, hey, we pull TransUnion Vantage score. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, it's still a score, but it's not like, it's not the score that most lenders, they pull for FICO 8 or FICO 9.
Yeah.
And that's what Experian shows is the FICO, right? So that's really the only difference is, you know, an Experian is going to show your Experian, unless you're paying for the membership for Experian, then it'll show all 3. But yeah, you know, that's really the only difference. You know, Credit Karma, and I like both apps. Like I use Credit Karma for just because it still shows you you know, if you got inquiries, you got this, you got this, you got, and it updates every day. So it's still cool. It's just, you know, one thing that I always tell everybody all the time is like, don't get too caught up in the score. It's because it's always all about the profile. Like, and I've told people that multiple times. They're still be like, man, why is my score? I'm like, look, or they get collections removed. You know, okay, you just got a $12,000 collection removed, and your score went up 2 points. And they're like, what happened? I'm like, well, that's not what really, like, it's hurting you, but that's not what's making your score really. You know, there's still tons of other things that we got to do to like build you up, right? So I always tell people like that's the number one thing is making sure the personal profile, the whole profile is good. Because once that's good, it don't really matter what. I've seen people literally walk into banks with a 680 and get approved, and people walk into banks with a 770 and get denied. You know what I'm saying?
And so so how true is the statement that if you wait 7 years, something fall off your credit report or something like that?
Honestly, it's a hit or a miss. Yeah, it's a hit or a miss because I see stuff all the time on people's profiles that's over 7 years old. But also people will be like, oh, this fell off after this amount of time. Actually, something fell off of my profile too back before, you know, that.
And when it falls off, it's just gone?
It was gone, yeah. Like, I don't know where it went. It ain't on my credit report. It ain't stopping me from getting 100K, right? So that's the beautiful thing, right? Is once I started to learn the information, like I first heard it, I'm like, hold on. You mean to tell me that you're literally using your personal credit profile and going to get business credit and you running it up like this just simply by knowing what banks pull from TransUnion, what banks pull from Experian, and what banks pull from Equifax. You having the proper data points for these different banks, right? As far as like what you're putting on the applications, and then you just running it through, and then you getting the inquiries removed and running it again. You know. So
what's the best state to live in to get the best use of credit unions?
Honestly, you know, a lot of East Coast states, they've been doing real good. Like I know, like, I got a business in Pennsylvania, so like we just went crazy out there, you know, with the funding. Delaware, you know, there's like pretty much everything out there. Massachusetts, like they got a lot of like credit unions, federal credit unions, all that stuff like that's really good, to be honest. So, but really, it don't matter what state you in. Like you, if as long as that personal profile is looking good, you can run the bag up.
Got you.
Yeah.
And who would you say is like the top 3? These are the people you want to do business with bank wise.
Yeah. So, number one, it's kind of hard now. But Truist is one of my favorites. Truist, they actually they're like a good plug because you could get 2 business credit cards with 1 inquiry with them. So my girl, she actually just got 25,000 through them. She got one that was 15,000, one that was 10,000. But now they're not allowing you to do a foreign entity anymore. So basically a foreign entity is like, let's say I'm in Wisconsin, right? There is no Truist in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So if the nearest Truist is in Indiana or it's in Pennsylvania or whatever, right? I now have to get a foreign entity, which is basically a document that's allowing me to do business in this other state. And once I am able legally to do businesses in this other state, I got my virtual office. I got everything out there, right? Now I could go set up the bank account and run the play. But the thing is Truist isn't doing that anymore. So they're not allowing you to do that. So you literally have to have your business actually in that state. So that's kind of what sucks with them. Just luckily enough, I got a property out there and stuff like that. So we can still, you know what I'm saying, run the play and stuff like that. But yeah, Chase, Chase is that's my best friend, you know. Chase. I love Chase. We run out the bag. People getting left and right, getting 40s and 50s and 70s and 20s bare minimum, right? With Chase. So Chase, Truist, and I say another one of my top picks, probably Navy's up there, but Navy's also another one that some people have a problem getting into sometimes, right? Because you got to have like an access code or really like I've had people literally call up to Navy Federal though and literally just say that, you know, they had a relative that passed away. They don't really have the information. And if they get declined, if they get turned down in that call, I just tell them to keep calling back. And I've had people do that until somebody let them in. You know, so they'll get in there. And Navy Fed's giving it back too on the business side. And it's easy though. I feel like it's kind of, that's why I said those banks, because it's effortless, you know, especially when you got the reps, you plugged in with the reps and stuff like that. So.
Got you. Nah, it's a lot of information. And so being from Wisconsin, you know, I'm a city person.
Yeah.
So you have like cities out there or
Yeah.
countryside. So you're in the city.
Yeah. So I grew up in like a town, but it's like, I don't know, it's not like super big. It's a smaller town, but it's not like super small either, right? But I grew up in a town called Beloit, Wisconsin, right? And then also I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin. So between those two, fairly big. And then I also lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is like a little bit bigger too. So that kind of goes to, it's definitely, I grew up in a place, and we're like an hour away from Chicago. So like all my family, they really came from Chicago and then migrated up to Wisconsin and stuff like that. So how I grew up, it's funny too, because every time when I move around and stuff like that, and people be like, damn, they make black people Wisconsin. they make people like y'all in Wisconsin, and they see how I move, and then they're just like, wow, this is crazy, right? But then but I noticed there's a lot of places that I've been to where I would think like, what's out there? And then I would go out here, and then I realized what I realized is I'm like, it's really modern. Everything they make everything everywhere. Like they make rich suburbs everywhere. They make hoods literally everywhere. They make projects everywhere. There's low income everywhere. There's high income everywhere. So once I realized that, I'm like, wow, like no matter where I go in the country, it's struggles everywhere, and there's people winning everywhere, So that's one thing I learned, right? And the thing about where I'm from, though, that's real dope is the fact that for what I do is that a lot of people weren't doing it. Yeah. So credit isn't a big topic where I'm from, especially credit repair. And there's so many different businesses where I'm at. So I'm just like, I started looking at it like, oh, this is lit. Right. I'm like, man, I can low key just go walk into businesses and talk to them about business credit and stuff like that and see, where I can help them out, show them some of my accolades and stuff like that. So that's a good thing about that too. Everybody's in a rush to like leave places, but don't get me wrong, I'm the same way. Like if I feel like that's how people are everywhere, right? People get sick of where they from. They're like, all right, let me switch it up. But then once I thought about it, I'm like, nah, this is really like, it's a nice, good bag, right? That's available. So, yeah.
Got you. Okay. So, do you have any relatives?
Yeah. Yep. So a lot of my relatives, they all out there. They're in Wisconsin. Like my mom, my aunt, sister, cousins. I got daughters. I got 3 daughters.
Oh, wow.
One daughter lives in, my oldest lives in Georgia. She lives in Atlanta. And the other 2 are with me in Wisconsin. So,
got it. So, do you teach everybody in your family this financial level of literacy?
Yeah, so it's dope because I often, like, anytime, I haven't really went in with my family yet like that. We've spoke on it a few times, but everybody's still kind of in their modes, right? Everybody like works, they're kind of like locked in with the life that they live right now.
But they don't see you. And
they see me, but then they're still like, I think it's like some people gotta see you, like, especially when you're 40 years old, 50 years old or older, and then you kind of locked in to what you're doing over here. It's like, well, I'm not gonna really like holler at me when you touch the couple M's and all this. You know what I'm saying? Then we'll talk about it. Like, I know you got a property, but holler at me when you got 10 properties. And then it's like, all right, this makes more sense. Some people gotta, it takes a little bit more. But the dope thing is that my 10-year-old, we go over financial literacy all the time. So I got flashcards and stuff for her. We'll jump on the line, go over flashcards and stuff. Cause like I said, I wasn't taught financial literacy at all. Nobody taught me any of this stuff. So I'm not mad at nobody for that, because I understand that everybody, like my parents were only being parents based on what they were taught how to live life, right? So therefore, but at the end of the day, I take heed to it and I say, well, I'm not mad at nobody for that. I'm actually glad that I'm getting privy to this information, because now I could teach my daughter this, right? When she's 10 years old. So at 10 years old, you know what I'm saying? That she knows what mortgages are and different loans and and credit and how it works and a FICO score. She knows what this stuff is. Like, bring her in here right now and ask her, so that's what's dope is, I just realized, and at that age, it's the brain is just ready to learn. The brain's ready to learn, and it's all about what you're feeding the brain is what's most important. It don't matter what age you are, like whatever you consume, that's what you become. So if I'm only listening to rap music all day, like I'm gonna probably just think about all the stuff that I heard in the rap
Facts.
song. When I jump in the car, like I'm by myself, I'm audiobook crazy, YouTube something crazy, right? Because it makes my brain click in a different way, and then I go get activated in a whole different way versus what the rap song activate me to do,
You
right?
gotta tune into Attractive Mindset Podcast.
Exactly.
Man.
Yeah. Right now, that's what's up. Yeah. I know. I definitely do. That's what's up. So that's one thing I understood with her. I remember this one time I seen on Ellen. One time it was this little kid. She was like 4 or something, and her mom did flashcards with her, and she taught her how to recite all the presidents and the periodic table of elements. She knew all the periodic table of elements. This little girl. I said, I don't know, like none of the periodic. So that's but then she said, like, she literally just said, that's when I realized she like, we just go over the flashcards every day. So I was like, it's repetition, right? It's literally just repetition, just continuously feed this into their brain. So that's what I do for my daughter, because it's like, that's the one shot I got to at least doing what I gotta do, as well as the life insurance policies. I got multiple of those for myself. I got all my kids got them, as well as just everything else, especially from coming from a background where I wasn't taught none of this and I'm just learning it. So it feels really good to actually be doing it now. Right. And then being able to teach, and then hopefully by the grace of God, switch up how my family is moving, out here. So that's the biggest thing.
So I have a 2-part question for you. How detrimental is it to have an actual business once you get this funding?
Yeah. Nah, that's 100% like everything. You gotta have a plan. Like, the first things first is like, don't even think about, like, definitely get your credit right and stuff, but don't even think about business credit until you're like mentally able to attain that much amount of money. Because if you're just used to, like, if you gotta, first and foremost, I believe you truthfully have to teach yourself how to stack up money first. You gotta learn how to save money. Like, you gotta have some type of discipline. And if you ain't got no discipline, it's over with. Like, don't even think about it, because people think that having $1 million is gonna like save their life, but they don't understand that if you don't have any discipline on saving it at all, that $1 million, you're gonna blow through that. That's nothing.
It's nothing. Yep.
That's literally like, you won't know it's nothing until you finally get it and you finally blow it, and then you like, hold on, what's going on, right?
They say a lot of lotto winners are actually worse off than before they won the lotto.
Yep, because they probably went in all type of new debt now, and they got all this crazy stuff going on. So that's the biggest thing. It's the mindset, right? You got to have an A1 mindset, and you got to teach yourself how to stack. Once you learn how to do that, and you're like, oh, I can do this. Like, oh, if I make $100 here and I put up, at least 10%, you know what I'm saying? Put up $10, do whatever and budget the rest. Learn how to budget, and then also you just got to know, you got to dive into yourself. You got to know what you want to do with your business. You got to know what type of business you want to do. You got to start to have a plan. And then I say the biggest thing to start aligning yourself with the people who are winning in that industry. So if you want to do real estate, start aligning yourself with the Pace Morbies and, people like that who are like going hard, in those different industries. Right. And then from there, even if it's just consuming their content on YouTube or listening to their podcasts or, buying some ebooks or whatever, buying a course or however you want to do it, like dive in 100%. And then once you feel, I believe, like, once you feel, now you like, all right, I'm all in. Now you want to really get that business funding and start going in with that. And one of the biggest things with the business funding is either you could put it all on the line like I did and go invest into even bigger mentorship programs and different things where you got like hands-on, or, a combination of that, or starting to just take some of that first initial funding and start building relationships with other banks with that, right? So if I go get $20,000 real quick from Truist, I might, go put $5,000 over here with this lender right here, right? Put $5,000 with this lender, and then I'm pretty much just like building it up, because you're establishing a relationship within the bank rating system of these different lenders and stuff like that. So then you're able to rock and roll with them. So
Got you.
Yeah.
And so the second part of that question is, with all the literacy happening now for you, there's a quote that happens where it's like, tough times create strong men create good times create weak men create strong times
Oh,
or tough times.
right.
How do you feel about that with you having this knowledge, giving it to your kids? They're not going to grow up in a sense of the struggle.
Right.
So does that affect you, and do you want them to still learn a lot of things on their own, or
Yeah.
how do you navigate that?
So the biggest thing, like my number one thing with like, for instance, like my 10-year-old is like, I just want her to have the information and know what to do with the information. Cause right now I'm in building mode. I'm straight building up. So like the biggest thing I'm doing is like, by the time she gets to her 18th birthday, I'm at least going to have a couple properties for her that she's going to have that she can do what she wants with it. She's going to be able to pull some money out of her life insurance. She's going to be able to pull some money out of these Acorn accounts. I got all type of stuff going on for the kids, right? Because like, you got to invest in the future, right? So I want to be able to give her things, but also teach her how to like maneuver with it. And then also at the same time, I don't want to just tell her like, all right, well, you got to go do this, get into this. Like, you got to do certain things. You have to learn this information. Like, you have no choice. I quiz my daughter on the stuff we're learning. You got to learn it. If you pass certain things and stuff like that, you get prizes, because that's what life is. You know, that's life. If you put in the work, you're going to get rewarded at some point, right? So I want to make that a thing, right? But at the end of the day, I also wanted, the biggest thing is I just want to be able to provide as many opportunities and resources as possible, because that's also what, like, myself, I didn't have a lot of opportunities and resources, so that's why I made certain decisions that took me down a certain path in life. So that's what I realized is, like, a lot of people's problems and issues in life is that they're just not presented with enough opportunities and resources, so then they end up just choosing a certain path and kind of sticking to that path, you know. So that's the biggest thing, is I want to be able to, like, I want you to be in a position where you got so much money coming in from over here, or whatever, that you could go spend some time working on your craft with this, and it might not make you money for the first 2 years, but you're not stressing. You don't have to give up. You know, you don't. So many people in the world, they're giving up on their craft because it's not paying. And then they got to deal with societal things like paying bills, right? But so they give up something that they absolutely are in love with just because they got caught up in the rat race and the society things and stuff. So that's the biggest thing, you know?
No, absolutely. And so, you know, they say pictures, videos are always timeless. And so, you know, your daughter will watch this, you know, at some point. So, you know, if you had to tell her anything that you want to tell your daughters, and, you know, whatever, just for them to see it in the future or whatever, you know, just say something to them real quick.
Yeah. You know, stay focused at all times. Always take heed to every single thing that you learn. Keep your eyes open 100%, you know, and love yourself at all times, and just really stay focused. Hone in on what your purpose is. Hone in on what you need to hone in on, and lock in with yourself. And just, take it all in. Take everything, you know, at 100%. Like, you got to go at 100% at everything you do. So that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Nah, absolutely. And so we've reached the point of the show where we're going to get, it's called Gem Drop.
Gem Drop. All right.
So not a lot of people make it towards, you know, this late in the episode. And so for the people that do, we want to give them the specific ways that they can go right now and get some funding. Like, give them the exact blueprint. Like, yo, if they joined your mentorship program, coaching, anything, this is what the plan I would do to give to you right now.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, the number one thing is, honestly, is like, we just got to make sure that as long as the personal credit profile is good, right, it's A1. So the biggest thing is being able to have that business structured properly. As long as that business is structured properly, like, you gotta have the you know, your business name, you gotta have the address, the email, like, you gotta have a virtual office address. It can't be your home address, right? You gotta have the business email, you gotta have the business phone number, right? You gotta have all these different things. And then you could really, it's like it's pretty simple. You just run the plays. Like honestly, I do know I wanted to do one thing specifically though for everybody who's watching this too. Is I actually have some ebooks that I want to give away.
Okay.
So I have my credit building 101 ebook that literally just breaks down A to Z how to build out the credit profile and everything that you need to do. My trade line plug is on there, and stuff like that. And then also I have the business funding blueprint, which has all type of different plays inside of there, the data points on what you put on the applications, all that good stuff, right? Literally my sequences and everything. Then I got the inquiry removal kit, so people can learn how to literally run the plays, get the inquiries removed,
And
keep
that's
running
all
the
in the
plays.
ebook.
That's all I'm giving away. It's 3 different things, right?
Gotcha.
And I'm giving away for absolutely free, right? To your people, to your people who's watching, to the people who's listening to this, right? And so really my brand is called Obsessed with Success. And that's when I realized it's like the reason why I made that brand and named it that is because I realized like and able to really take things and make and change your life, you have to start to become obsessed with the success. You can't just kind of want it, because if you kind of want it, it's not gonna happen.
Facts.
Or you might get a little dibble dabble and then it's like you right back where you were, right? And able to really level up and go harder, you got to be obsessed with it. Like you got to go to sleep, think about it, wake up, think about it through the day. And that's one thing, like as entrepreneurs, we have to become obsessed. We're thinking about how we can scale our business and our brand like 24/7, right? So all anybody has to do to go and get those products is go to beobsessedbooks.com to go and get those free ebooks, right? And then you can literally dive into those and that'll give you everything you need. So that's like, it's not a gem, but it's got the gems in it, right?
Yeah.
So and that's what I want to do. So beobsessedbooks.com. Go there, you get your books, you get everything you need, dive into those, and I'm telling you, you're gonna win. Like my goal for coming up here is like I want people to dive into those, run the plays, and go run it up. Like and then somewhere out there in the world there's somebody who got 50,000, 100,000 just by this, leveraging what they got from this podcast.
Got you. No, that's love. Hey, make sure y'all tune into that. We're going to make sure that link pops up on the screen so you can just click it. You can go to it. It's going to be in the description, the bio, everything. But man, Tahj, you coming on here, sharing the story, sharing just the experience and the knowledge. You brought up a lot of good points and areas that, again, we've had a lot of credit people on here. And why it's always good to just hear multiple perspectives is because everybody goes through a different process of the same thing.
Yeah.
And so you explain things in a way that some of these audience people are going to understand and they're going to be like, yo, it finally hit for me, because how many times you got to tell somebody something and they just don't get it, or that it's not the right person telling them. And so, even how you articulated certain things, Paydex, FICO, the differences between that, like, you can tell that you have a good foothold on the industry for sure. Yeah. And that's a dope company name, Obsessed with Success. Hey, gotta be obsessed with success. And so, if people wanted to tap in with you, learn more about your brand, work with you, where could they do that at?
One of the biggest platforms that I work on is Tahj Raw, at Tahj Raw, TASRAWW. That's on Instagram, right? Or you can contact me. My email is Tahj Stewart. That's my name. TAHJSTEWART at obsessedwithsuccess.org. But Instagram is really the big one for me. Like all anybody has to do is literally just message me, learn, message me the word teach, message me the word funding, just message me really. And you're gonna, I'll pop back at you and we'll get to work.
Absolutely. Nah, Tahj, I appreciate you coming on the show. Man, listen, y'all got the gems here. If you like, make sure you share with a friend, subscribe. Trust me, don't keep this information to yourself, because unfortunately, half of y'all might not actually use it, but share with somebody that can use the knowledge, use the gems. Share with your friend group. I know y'all got that group chat going on. Drop it in there. Get some money together. Buy a building. Take it to next levels. And so it's your host, Moneybag Rich, man. And as we always say, we look good. We live good. Life is good. Talk to us. We talk back, and we out.